Thank you very much. Just like to firstly say thank you for inviting me today to give this talk on sustainability. In case you don't know, I'm Russell, grew up in the UK, I studied in the UK, became licensed in the UK, I'm registered architect in the UK. Worked in the UK for about 6 years, then I worked in Thailand for about 2.5 years, then I worked in Australia for about 2.5 years, and then I moved to Tanzania. I've been working for Estim Construction for the last 10 years. So these are the kind of topics I'll be going through. Why is architecture important for the environment? What is sustainability? What is a green building? What is building certification? What is LEED? Challenges we face in Dar es Salaam. And then what I'll do is try and give some design solutions to the challenges we face in Dar es Salaam. And then Michael asked me to show some of my projects and some other projects around the world, and then summary at the end. So why is architecture important for the environment? Well, I don't know if you know this, but buildings count towards 40% of global greenhouse gases. So that's more than any other industry. So that gives you some idea how important buildings are for the environment. So what is sustainability anyway? So for me, it's like 4 things. It's water efficiency, saving energy, health and well-being, and efficiency. So it's not just protecting the environment, it's also health and well-being for humans as well. So what is a green building? Well, a green building is a sustainable, those 4 things I just talked about, an eco-friendly building. So it's a building that's designed, constructed, and operated to give minimum impact on the environment. So it's not just after the building's been built, it's during construction as well. So these buildings may have some kind of design features which I'll go through during this presentation. Building certification. So how do you know it's a green building? You need some kind of proof. Like, there's lots of people, lots of companies claiming their buildings green, sustainable, so you need some kind of proof. They could be lying. So one way to make proof of that is to get the building certified. And there's companies that certify buildings. They're like third-party rating systems that proves that the contractor, the architects, the consultants involved in that project made an effort to minimize the impact of that building on the environment. So one sustainable rating is called LEED. There's several, many countries have their own. The one in the UK was the first one, it's called BREEAM. There's one in Singapore, there's one in Australia, there's not one in Tanzania. There's one in South Africa. But LEED is a good one, I think, because there's more LEED rated buildings than any other green building rating system in the world. You can go on their website and you can see all the buildings that have been rated. How it works is you submit loads of information about the building, and then it's like a point system, and then you judge how sustainable that building, how much it's minimizing the impact on the environment compared to an average building. So there's 3 ratings. There's certified, there's silver, gold, and platinum, which is the top one, which is the most sustainable building. Also, if you get a building rated with LEED or something like that, it's good to promote the building. I did a couple of projects, and all the international companies come running. They want to rent out the building because it's officially a green building. Here's some of the challenges we face in Dar es Salaam. So, rapid urbanisation, one of the fastest growing cities in Africa. Transportation challenges. There's a lot of traffic and pollution and noise. Heat is pretty hot here. We need to find minimum ways to cool the buildings and the environment without using much energy. Resource scarcity, it's good to save water and energy. That's not just Dar es Salaam, but all around the world. And culture and nature sensitivity, that's architecture. Architecture is all about respecting the local surroundings and the local culture. And environmental health conditions. I don't think personally Dar es Salaam is that safe walking around. It's quite polluted. The sidewalks and the buildings are not that healthy sometimes. So what I'll do, I'll go through each one of these challenges and then give some design solutions for each one. Starting with rapid urbanisation. There's things you can do before you actually build or design a building. Choosing the actual site. If you choose a site, your location of your building within half a mile, within walking distance to 8 diverse facilities, covering 5 categories, which are food, retail, community services, civic community facilities, office and housing. So if you cover 3 of 5 of those categories and cover 8 diverse uses, then you're already onto a sustainable building because people can walk to all these facilities. So that's within half a mile of the site. Also, you can choose land that's already been developed, so you're not building on greenfield sites, so you're not intruding on nature as much as undeveloped land. And then the last one I got there is an existing building is more, refurbishing an existing building is more sustainable than building a new building. Transportation challenges. Again, you can choose a site within quarter of a mile to public transport like BRT or the ferry terminal or Dala Dala. That encourages people to use public transport, and you're not using as much transport, using your car to work and stuff. Bicycle facilities is important. Now, if you've got a residential building, there should be at least one lockable bicycle store for every 3 residential units at minimum. This encourages people to use their bikes. And if you've got a commercial building, there should be at least 5% of the occupancy of the building lockable bicycle stores. So if you've got 100 people in the building, you need at least 5 bicycle stores. And you should put showers in the building as well, so people can encourage people to use their bicycle to work and then have a shower. And the amount of showers should be relative to the building occupancy. Also, you should put electrical car charging points in car parks here, about 5 to 10% of the building. I've been doing it here. You probably think I'm a bit crazy because there's no electrical cars here, but if we don't start doing this, then we'll never get any. And it encourages people to bring electrical cars here. I saw my first one yesterday driving to Masaki. You don't have to put all the stuff in, you can just put electrical provision. Climate considerations, heat. There's this thing called heat island effect. So when the heat hits if there's a non-porous surface like concrete, the sun reflects off that and causes hot vapor, and it intrudes on the surroundings and causes bad health to people around that area. So there's ways to mitigate that. You can use white roof tiles on the roof of buildings to reflect the heat. You can use more vegetation, because vegetation soaks up the heat and doesn't reflect it. And you can use stuff like perforated paving, like that one there, which is paving with vegetation around the outside, and that's good for drainage as well. Shading and orientation is quite important when you design a building here, especially because of the sun. You need to keep the building cool. If you keep the building cool, that means you use less air conditioning, which means less energy in the building. So in Dar es Salaam, it depends where you are in the world, but the longer side of the building should be facing north and south, and then the shorter side of the building should be facing east and west. That allows you to control the shading easier, manage the shading easier on the north and south in the midday sun, so you can have horizontal overhangs and roof overhangs that shades the building. Natural ventilation is a good one. If you design a building so it incorporates natural ventilation, that means you don't have to use any air conditioning. You can have the cool air flow through the building, like this building here, and then the hot air rises through the roof. That allows a kind of an airflow and keeps the building cool. Dar es Salaam is hot, but it's not that hot compared to stuff like Southeast Asia. I was in Brazil, and the temperature was similar to Dar es Salaam, and all the buildings there were naturally ventilated. Well, not a lot of them, not all of them. Double glazing is important. Some countries, it's the law you have to use double glazing, but usually that's cold countries, but you should use double glazing here. I know it's expensive, but double glazing stops the temperature difference. The temperature difference from inside and outside changing. It stops the temperature difference from inside and outside changing. So you use less air conditioning. When you put the air conditioning on, it doesn't just flow through the window. So you're using less energy there in the building. Resource scarcity, saving water and energy. There's these fittings you can get for the showers and taps and sinks. Not sinks, showers, taps and toilets. It's called low flush and flow rate fittings. So you're not using as much water when you're using the facilities. Also, you can reuse grey water to save water. So that's non-decontaminated wastewater. So basically water that doesn't have any shit in it or doesn't have any grease. So that includes washing machines, the hand wash sinks and the showers. You can take that water and reuse that into a tank, and then you reuse that into flushing toilets, and you can use that for watering the garden as well. So that's grey water. You can also have a rainwater on the tank. I've been doing it on my projects. It collects the rainwater and you can use that for irrigation and sometimes other uses as well. What you do to measure the energy of a building, we use building information modeling. So you model the building in 3D in a software, and then there's another software you can put it in that tracks, you put the electrical loads on and put the shade in and the sun, and it tells you how much energy that building's been used. And you compare that to an average building, so that you see how much energy you're saving. Well, it's money as well, because energy is money as well. So you save it, it shows you how much energy you're saving compared to the average building. Renewable energy is quite good. There's wind. This is the Bahrain World Trade Center. It has 3 wind turbines on the building. Powers about 15% of the building. But the trouble is, the wind turbines, you need them quite big and you need a lot of them, so it's not really suitable. We tried it on one project here, and it was too big. It didn't make much energy and it made a lot of noise. So we used solar panels instead, which seems quite better. But you need a lot of space on the roof for solar panels. They roughly have I found that they roughly have a payback period of around 6 years. Culture and nature sensitivity. So you can incorporate local styles for projects. This is a project I did in Zanzibar, Golden Tulip. It's reflecting the local Islamic culture. It's kind of got Islamic architecture themes. So that's what architecture is about, like respecting the local environment, the local culture. You can have artistic collaborations with local artists. That's CRDB there. Has a lot of local art. Each floor has different themes of local art. And then you can also put art on the outside of the building. I'll show you some projects I did that has that. Local materials and recycled materials are the best materials to use because you're not using transportation to import those materials. Stuff like wood, you have to be careful because you have to make sure that comes from a sustainable source. I don't know where half the timber comes from in Tanzania. You have to find out where it comes from. Open space is really important. When you design a building on a site, you shouldn't really put a building to cover the whole area. You need 30% at least of the site open space. If you have to fill the site, you can put open space on the roof or somewhere else in the building, and then 25% of that 30% should be vegetation. So that's not grass, but soil with plants. And you can put water and stuff. So that promotes nature and a good environment and health and well-being and all that kind of stuff. Protecting existing trees. You should always, when you design a building, you should always protect the existing trees as much as you can. I'll show you some projects you design around the existing trees. Signage is a good one to bring in local culture. You can have fun with the local language and culture, like male, female toilets and stuff like that. Recycle bins. There should be recycle bins on most floors, or at least every tenant space, and then a recycle bin at the exit, the garbage thing on ground floor. So there also needs to be a space for mercury and batteries, because the idea for this is to stop the landfill as much in Dar es Salaam in Tanzania. Environmental health conditions. There's this thing called VOCs, volatile organic compounds, which are in materials like paints, solvents and sealants. That it's this vapor that releases and causes bad health. You know that smell sometimes when you finish a building and it gives you a headache. It's not good for you. So you just have to make sure you select these products that don't have VOCs or low VOCs. Sometimes the smell and that vapor takes weeks or months to flush out when you finish a building. Entrance mat into a building. This stops the dust coming in. You're breathing in the dust. But a lot of people don't use the entrance matting correctly here. They just plonk a mat on the main entrance and that's it. And it's supposed to be recessed into the tile so you can remove it and clean it. and it needs to be at least 3 meters in running length, not just like this long. It doesn't really do much. So that's for health and well-being as well. Construction activity plan. So when you construct in the building, you create a plan to protect the site while it's under construction. You have to protect the trees, do stuff like clean the vehicles when they leave the site so they don't bring dust down the road, that kind of stuff. You can take the topsoil off the site and then keep that, and then when the project's finished, you can reuse that topsoil for the planting and the garden. Lighting pollution. I don't know if you've seen that building down the road towards Lamani City. It's covered in lights. I think a lighting contract is inside it. It's not good for the environment. It's intruding on birds and bats and things. You shouldn't really have any uplights on the outside of a building. You should have downlights or across lights, because uplights kind of intrude on nature. I mean, it's Dar Es Salaam, it's not Las Vegas. If one person starts doing it, then the rest of the buildings start doing it, so it's not good. This is a nice one I found recently about stairs. You can put signage and encourage people to use the stairs. Like put stuff like you're burning calories. They started to do this in hotels nowadays. You encourage them to use the stairs and they get points if they use the stairs instead of the elevator or stuff like that. So that helps with health and well-being. Now I'll go on to some projects. I just wanted to show this about mud construction. That's a house in Dar Es Salaam I went to visit. The only concrete on that is the foundations. The rest of it's rammed earth and timber. That's just giving you an example of Masai House, which is kind of the perfect sustainable building there. This is a project by an architect called Francis Keir. He won awards for this. It's made of mud as well, local materials. In the mud brick, it's only 3%, no, it's a very low percentage of cement inside the brick. Cement's not very good because it takes a lot of energy to make cement. That's used for concrete, but he's used a very minimal amount of cement in these mud bricks. And it's all naturally ventilated. It keeps the school cool. The hot air goes above the ceiling and over the roof. So that's really a successful project. He won Pritzker Prize for this. Now Michael asked me to show a couple of projects I'm working on. This is a school. It's going to have the similar mud construction. That's rammed earth. So you got there, it's like a mould called formwork. You put the mud in and you ram it down and it makes a mud wall. This is a primary school, secondary school. It's got everything on the planet. It's got like sports hall, auditorium, accommodation for kids, accommodation for teachers. This is that Maasai, modern Maasai shaped houses, but this is just early stages at the moment, early design stages. So it's kind of it got money funded from the Leonardo DiCaprio Foundation. So it's for charity as well. This is my first project in Dar es Salaam. It's the first LEED rated building in Tanzania. It's designed around this existing tree here. It's an olive tree. It's got shades on the front that angle towards the morning sun, so it stops the sun from entering the building. It's got double glazing. This was 8 years ago and 10 years ago when there was like hardly anyone was using double glazing here. It's got lots of water saving facilities, those features I was talking about. It's got solar panels, generates around I think 10% energy of the building. Anything else? Okay, that's that one. This is a new project. It's just finished on site. I haven't got any photographs, but it's a university business centre. Business university. It's got extensive landscaping around. It's a water feature to promote. There's been proven science that if you create something that's a pleasant environment, like nature and stuff, that increases productivity in the workplace, or in this case, education. So it's got a green roof there where they can go outside. I just wanted to show you this atrium, which is naturally ventilated. There's no air conditioning in here. The only air conditioning in the building is the classrooms. So there's cool air coming through here, and then the hot air rises up and goes through the roof light, and there's glass levers that let the air out. This is a new project that's starting a site in Masaki. It's an apartment complex designed around this existing tree, and then the theme of the building is this organic shape like the tree that's going around it. It's got extensive landscaping on ground floor. There's a pond creating an ecosystem, and then a lot of extensive landscaping on the roof. Green roof, swimming pool, gym, green wall, cinema, outdoor cinema, that kind of stuff. So that's starting on site, I think, next month, opposite Slipway. This is a project starting in Lusaka. It's an office building. Again, it's designed around the existing tree. It's got these shades on the building that also have planters on it, and the creepers climb up and shade the building as well. So the idea is office life is changing now. You want to be like connected more of nature and to feel more like at home. So that'll help the workplace. And these projects have got water tanks on the roof. Water tanks that collect from the roof. The water tank's usually in the basement, and then that water is collected and used for watering the plants usually. This is a project I finished in Lusaka. It's the first LEED rated building in Zambia. So this project, I couldn't put the long face north and south of the building because of the site. So the shorter side is on the north and south, but I put horizontal shadings on the north and south for the high angle sun, and then on the east and west I put vertical shadings, so that helps shade the building. It's got a lot of green walls on this one, you see in the middle there, and that's got automatically it's got irrigation connected to the rainwater tank, so it automatically gets watered. And there's some local art. We got a local artist to paint the car park up there as well, and there's a green roof on the top. Some other projects now, just quickly a few from around the world that I just liked. It's not my projects. This is a mall in Ethiopia that's completely naturally ventilated. There's no air conditioning in the shopping mall. It's got holes around the outside. This is a famous hotel in Singapore. So Singapore's government have this initiative where if you have a green roof or green wall, they pay 50% towards constructing it. That's why there's a lot of vegetation in Singapore. So the vegetation here shades the building, and the restaurant grows all its vegetables in there as well. This is a building I went to see a few years ago. It's in Shanghai. I think it's the second tallest building in the world. It's considered the most sustainable green skyscraper in the world. It twists 180 degrees from the bottom all the way up, and doing that, it allows the wind to pass by it, so it decreases the wind load, and doing that, they've decreased the amount of material in the structure. So if you decrease the amount of material in the structure, the materials that have the most impact on the environment are usually the heaviest or the most expensive, which is usually the structure. So minimizing the amount of structure on the building makes it very sustainable. That's probably why it's very sustainable compared to the average skyscraper. It also has about 500 wind turbines on the roof. It's got this double skin which creates an ecosystem within the skin, and it shades the building, and there's trees and wildlife inside where people can go. And it's got like 50% water savings. Finally, there's this project in Copenhagen. It's a power station, but it's not a typical power station. It collects the rubbish from the city and then generates it into energy. And it's also a community hub, so people go there to enjoy it. There's a ski slope, there's the highest climbing mountain in the world, and it's got hiking as well. And the coolest thing about it is the chimney. It's non-toxic, they clean it, and in the winter it turns to snow, and there's real snow on the building there. So I hope this talk helps you understand the significance of how architecture plays in the world, and you've understood some of the sustainability features and concepts. It's our responsibility to protect the world and enhance people's lives. And I hope you join me in creating a greener, more environmentally conscious future through thoughtful architecture. Thank you.